Hey there everyone, welcome back to another Game Vault video. As always, I'm Captain Beefy with the Game Vault, and we're going to talk a little bit more about Assassin's Creed Shadows today, the backlash that it's receiving, and how developer Yoshiki Akamoto addresses this. So, let's cue up the music and we'll get right to it. So I caught a lot of grief for my video, a lot of love too, regarding Japanese pushback against this game and how they're boycotting it and the petition and all that. A lot of people on both sides of that argument, valid reasoning on both sides for, some part. And then of course you have some idiots that just come in and want to put you on blast because they have absolutely nothing worthy to say. They'll just come in and feel like, oh yeah, the Japanese really care about what what was the wording? A meth head, trailer park meth head like you thinks, or something like that, So, yeah, buddy, suck a dick. Anyway, so Street Fighter and Monster Strike developer Yoshiki Akamoto addressed the backlash against the Ubisoft Assassin's Creed Shadows. He says the game has received significant backlash both in the West and Japan recently. A petition from Japanese gamer accuses the game of being a serious insult to Japanese culture and history and can lead to racism in Asia. It goes on to call for Ubisoft to stop developing it. We call on Ubisoft to immediately discontinue the launch of Assassin's Creed Shadows and show sincere research and respect for Japanese history and culture. The petition's up to nearly 50,000 signatures, which isn't, too bad. At the time this was made, it was 48,793. So, pretty impressive. Still growing. It started on June 19th. So, yeah, it's been going for a few weeks now. The game has also been heavily criticized for pushing a DEI and woke agenda. Ex-user Ian Michaels Chong wrote, "Should Ubisoft delay Assassin's Creed Shadows in response to widespread backlash over the game's injection of DEI? This game is so thoroughly woke that it features a black, gay protagonist depicted as a real historical samurai in Japan. Offensive beyond belief. No one asked for this." And ex-CEO Elon Musk himself commented in a reply, "DEI kills art." And yes, he is correct. DEI kills art. DEI just places restrictions on things, and it makes you have to consider parameters when you're designing something, whether you're making a movie, writing a book, whatever it is, making a video game. You need, if you are following for diversity, equity, and inclusion, the DEI thing didn't earn it, as I like to say, then all you're doing is you're compromising your art to appeal to all these other people. Let's say you're making a movie and you're like, well, hold on, I gotta add a gay character now, but I really don't have a spot for a gay character in my story. So, all right, well, I'll shoehorn this one in here, and all right, I need to add a black person because I don't have any black people in here, but this game is set in Iceland, 100 years ago or 200 years ago, whatever, a long time ago when it was just anyway, so it's like, all right, well, let me add that in too then. Okay, I got that there. And now I need a fat person now because, I need somebody that's really fat now, or disabled, or, somebody that's neurodivergent, or any of the other buzzwords that they come up with. And, so yeah, you're compromising your art by forcing to put all these things in there. Now, if they occur naturally, it's wonderful. That's great. Stories will have diverse casts of characters, especially when and when they show up naturally, especially in places that are already culturally diverse. If you're gonna tell a story in modern day New York City, you're gonna have a cast of characters that is a wide range of interesting personalities and people and all that. Okay, and it's cool to a degree, right? So if you go too far with it, it feels a little pandery, and it feels like, oh God, they're just checking off all the boxes here. And if you take an existing thing that was created, and then you're adapting it and you're changing everything for the modern audience, it doesn't sit right with me to do that. It feels kind of aggravating. The case in point, Spider-Man, right? The Spider-Man for the MCU. great series. I enjoy Tom Holland in it and all that, and I think he did a wonderful job as Peter Parker and Spider-Man. Fantastic. But his friends at school, now I get it. They changed things up to reflect modern day New York City school system and all that, and that's cool. They could have still done that, but kept the characters that they based these things off of as the real characters. Like Flash Thompson, for instance, they made him Indian, and Flash was always the bully that picked on Peter Parker. He was the jock and all that. Well, he's not a jock. He's a smart Indian in, I think, the debate club or something, or probably the math club as well. Who knows? And that's the bully. That's the foil of Peter Parker. They destroyed MJ. They took her out completely. They had Zendaya, who looks like she's a mixed race, and they named her MJ, not even Mary Jane. And they did that so they could get away with it and say, well, it's not Mary Jane, it's MJ. So I don't know what you nerds are mad about. MJ, Mary Jane, was always this, beautiful redhead. And, long red hair, big bosom, yada yada. And they got this kind of, she's a cute girl, but she's not Mary Jane, not by any stretch of the imagination. And, but I digress. These are the annoying things that happen. And you see it happen on a consistent basis, If it was once in a while you saw, you'd be like, oh, that's kind of annoying, but whatever, But to see how often it occurs, and it's almost like a daily thing now in gaming. Like every day there's something announced, and you see something new occur in this industry that just makes you shake your head and go, why are they doing this? They're shooting themselves in the foot. The game is not going to sell. You got all kinds of shills. I even get them in the comment section about this game. They're like, giving me hell about my opinion and all that. And it's fine. You're entitled to your opinion, guys. Go ahead. Crap on me all you want. I'll crap right back. I don't care. It's all fun and games. But in the end, it doesn't change the fact that whatever argument you want to use, you cannot deny that the only reason they chose to put Yasuke in there as the main character was for DEI purposes, because he was black. The only black man in all of Japan during feudal Japan times. I mean, absolutely ridiculous. Whether or not you want to talk about real history and fake history, I don't care. It doesn't matter, Assassin's Creed always was based in and around history, and they were always like, it slipped here and there, and it wasn't always adhering to it 100% and all that. I get it. That's cool. You got to take some creative licensing with stuff in a game. I don't play Assassin's Creed to learn history. I could read a book for that. I play it to have some fun in a historical setting and all that, with an authentic character from that time frame. And this is just so wrong, so wrong. You're an assassin. You're supposed to blend into the shadows, disappear, make your kill, move on, and all that. And yeah, I get this character's supposed to be quote-unquote tanky, and then the weird female ninja is supposed to be the more stealthy one. But still, he's an assassin. What good is an assassin? Even if you go in with a big club into a room full of guys and smash someone's skull in, you're never going to be able to get away if you're the only big black guy in Japan. I mean, everybody's going, it's a big black guy. Oh, yeah, I saw him, as opposed to, if you were Japanese, you could, you can get away with it. You could hide, you could have a mask on, you could do this, you could do that. No, big black guy, that's who killed him. So yeah, it's absolutely goofy, and offensive. I guess, I'm not Japanese, but I tell you, it certainly feels like they're kind of crapping on the tradition of the Japanese. I know the Japanese are steeped in tradition and the belief systems and all that, and the samurai, there's a certain reverence I see about them. Maybe that's just me as a Westerner seeing it, and I don't know what I'm talking about, but that's what I feel like when I see movies made about samurai and the stories that are told. They're revered as heroes. It's kind of like us talking about the Old West and these heroic cowboys that did these things, or soldiers in World War II that did these amazing feats, or Vietnam or whatever. We prop them up and we make them, they represent the best of us, and that's what it's all about. But anyway, as initially reported by Automaton, Okamoto addressed the backlash and shared his opinion on the game in a YouTube upload. He noted, "I'm aware that this game is currently facing all kinds of backlash, but I'd like to talk about things from a more positive perspective. Specifically, he discussed the game's dual protagonist system, with Yasuke being more of a brute tank and Naoi being a stealthy ninja. Automaton's Amber V, who translated portions of the video and described others, detailed that Okamoto is excited about the system because it was something he attempted to create with his games Genji, Dawn of the Samurai, and Genji, Days of the Blade, but never achieved. He noted, "We weren't able to pull it off at the time, but I think Ubisoft will, which is why I have high hopes." That's great, dude. That is, that's a cool system, I guess. If that's what you're looking for in the game and all that, fine, perfect, have fun with it. But that doesn't change the fact that the game is disingenuous, and not just because he's black, but fight music with this hip-hop music, or when he's fighting, they're playing this hip-hop music, and they're stealing flags from these modern troops of people, and I guess they do reenactments of old battles and stuff like that, so they're stealing assets. It's just, Ubisoft just feels to me, I don't know, they just feel so sleazy. And then the way they're pulling their games back now and shutting them down so you can't access them, even if you bought them, even if you own them. It's like, wait a minute, what? How can you do that? You don't own games anymore, and that's a sad fact of life. And it's a sad fact with streaming services, watching movies like that and TV shows. Like, if you buy a disc, you own that physical disc. You own that movie, right? You can watch that movie whenever you want. If you watch it on a streaming service, you don't, you watch it. You're like, okay, cool, I'm going to watch this tonight. I'm going to watch Star Trek tonight. So you watch it, and it's over, and then, a month later, you can watch it again, and all. Then finally, one day, it's off that streaming service. Maybe temporarily, maybe forever. Maybe it's on a different one, whatever. But if something is found about that suddenly somebody finds it to be offensive, they could say, you know what, let's remove that one word, that one scene, those 5 frames, whatever, and change things around, because this doesn't suit the modern audience. So this piece of art can change, and because you are watching it on a streaming service, you have no control over that. It's not like somebody can come into your house, grab your disc, and get a black magic marker and cross off the parts they don't want you to see. That's not the way it works, So, yeah, it's awful, Ubisoft has proven time and time again that they're not really a good company. They're not good people. And that starts at the top. We saw their CEO a week or so ago insulting gamers for their opinions and all that. And you know what, dude? Go to hell. You will never see my money again. I hope your shareholders revolt against you and you lose millions and tens and 20 and $100 million. And they revolt against you and they oust you and they put someone in the place of you who just wants to make good games and make money, because that's what it's all about in the end of the day, man. Who cares about all this other crap? So, as far as criticisms of the game's historical and cultural representation, Okamoto downplayed them, saying it's a game, it's fantasy, not reality. Even if Oda Nobunaga's family crest is upside down, that's just the Oda Nobunaga in the game. It does not impact how entertaining the game is. This is a very naive view, as games such as Assassin's Creed Shadows are not just being made as games. They are not made for escape and entertainment. They are made for indoctrination. This is documented on Ubisoft's website. And it's really creepy when you look at these different companies. Like, I've got the initiative from who is Activision, and their plan for diversity, and it reads like brainwashing religious dogma. It's awful, and you've got just person after person involved with that company going to bat in one little slide after the other in all these different ways, and they all just sound like these weird hollow shells of people that are just echoing what the other person said. It's like they're all puppets, and somebody behind the scenes has his hand up their ass and is making them all talk and say the same thing, just in different ways. And it's really vile, and it's a real shame, but it is what it is. The company's VP of Global Diversity and Inclusion, Rashi Sika, notes, and this is back to Ubisoft, for Ubisoft, putting diversity and inclusion at the heart of everything we do means providing an environment where employees can thrive, building open-minded communities where players can connect, and creating games that reflect the diversity of the world we live in. Sika concludes, "We will not accomplish all these goals overnight. Just as it takes years of iteration to develop a AAA title, we will only become a more diverse and inclusive company by continuously improving, trying new ideas, and learning from the results. It's a long-term commitment, one that we will tackle with the same passion and dedication that we bring to our games." And here's their thing from their website or whatever. But in fact, a section titled Content on their website reads, "We will create gaming experiences that push representation forward by embedding diversity and inclusion across our processes, increasing representation in our teams, and offering access to resources that help teams to build more authentic, inclusive, and accessible gaming experiences." And yeah, there it is. I think that's what, I forget the name of that game. But you can't make a game for everybody. It just doesn't work that way. You can't make a game for everybody, because if you make a game for everybody, then you got a game for nobody. You're not going to make everybody happy. And if you bring in all these different factions into a company, right? All these different peoples, all with different sets of morals and backgrounds and things that they value, different value sets and all that, then development's going to be a constant war, as different people are going to want to push their own ideology, especially if you encourage that kind of stuff. And it seems like these video game companies really encourage that crap, because it pops up everywhere, and it's so annoying when it does. And it could be something as simple as a stupid ass rainbow flag popping up where it shouldn't pop up, or somebody's pronouns, and it's like, come on, just stop with that crap. We're so over it. Normal people are over it. Normal people are waking up, and normal people are going, man, yeah, I've had enough of this. I don't want to see this again. I mean, they're giving people felonies. They're charging them for felonies for leaving tire tracks on crosswalks that are painted as pride flags. Let that sink in. This is a part of a road. What do you do on a road? You drive on a road. Sometimes you have to brake hard. You come to a stop, kids walking across the crosswalk. I gotta stop. You left some marks there. Is that a felony because you didn't want to hit a child? What do you do next time? You just hit the child? Maybe you took off too fast and you left a little burnout there. Oh well, that happens, and not everybody's perfect all the time. It can happen, And yeah, and I'll admit, a lot of people are doing it on purpose. They're tearing them up and they're doing all that kind of stuff. I think they set them on fire a few times. And every time I see a story like that, I laugh. Not because someone's getting in trouble for it and getting a felony, but I laugh because that's how sick of all this crap people are, that they're willing to take a felony to shit on one of those crosswalks. And I think that's hilarious. I mean, that just goes to show you just how much pushback people are getting. Target and their Pride Month garbage and all their bathing suits that were designed to tuck. I think that was last year, and this year they barely put out Pride displays, and only in select areas and all that, because the backlash was so huge. They realized that, oh my God, we could be shut down as a company. Maybe it was the investors that pushed this, against all this nonsense. Maybe it was just the CEO himself. I don't know, but whatever the case may be, the war's being fought, and the tide is turning. Look at Tractor Supply. Tractor Supply used to have a DEI initiative, and they just openly admitted that they're shutting that down, and they're not dealing with it anymore. They're done with it. Yeah, we're done with DEI. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time. What? Does that get any better than that? That's amazing. That's freaking awesome, man. Nobody wants it. Everybody's sick and tired of it, including myself, and hopefully you. If you're sick and tired of it, leave a like on the video down below. But anyway, not only is this publicly stated on the company's website, but we've seen numerous entertainment companies attempt to rewrite history through their television shows, movies, and video games. One of the biggest examples is Netflix's Cleopatra documentary, which depicted Cleopatra as a black woman played by Adele James. This was so stupid. I mean, really stupid. This is one of the worst. I've seen English queens played by black actresses. I've seen, it goes on and on and on. Diversity is wonderful if it's natural, and if it's great, you can give a character a role, if you're casting for something. But a historical figure, God, be accurate about it, And I don't give a shit that Yusuke existed and all that, because he did exist, but he didn't exist as a samurai, so why are you lying? Because Thomas Lockley, or whatever his name was, wrote a book about him a few years back, and someone made I think it was an anime about it and all that, so now it's fact. Lockley wasn't there. There's no historical documents that state the man was a samurai. This guy just made this crap up out of thin air, and he's a complete idiot. I just don't understand it. But in an op-ed in Variety, the director of the documentary admitted she was engaging in a political act by making Cleopatra black. Doing the research, I realized what a political act it would be to see Cleopatra portrayed by a black actress. For me, the idea that people had gotten it so incredibly wrong before, historically, from Theda Bara to Monica Bellucci, and recently with Angelina Jolie and Gal Gadot in their running to play her, meant we had to get it even more right. The hunt was on to find the right performer to bring Cleopatra into the 21st century. She added, "Why shouldn't Cleopatra be a melanated sister? And why do some people need Cleopatra to be white? Her proximity to whiteness seems to give her value, and for some Egyptians, it seems to really matter." Well, maybe they don't want their people depicted as they weren't, you know? I mean, if you made a movie about George Washington and you had, Denzel Washington, who I love, played George Washington, I'd be like, why? He doesn't belong in this role. That's not right. It just ruins the movie at that point. And God bless you, Denzel. I love everything you do, for the most part. But why, right? Why? Why make Cleopatra black? Why would you do this to a historical figure? It's one of the most asinine things you could ever do. But later in the op-ed, she added, "Perhaps it's not just that I've directed a series that portrays Cleopatra as black, but that I've asked Egyptians to see themselves as Africans, and they are furious at me for that. I am okay with this." She would even admit, "So was Cleopatra black? We don't know for sure, but we can be certain she wasn't white like Elizabeth Taylor. We need to have a conversation with ourselves about our colorism and the internalized white supremacy that Hollywood has indoctrinated us with." A posthumous painting portrayed, believed to be of Cleopatra VII of the Ptolemaic Egypt, that is now located in the National Archaeological Museum of Naples, depicts the ruler as a white woman with reddish and brown hair. There she is in all her beautiful glory. Okay. On top of this, the backlash against... that's crazy. But on top of all this other stuff, the backlash against Assassin's Creed Shadows has resulted in the world's largest and most viewed digital encyclopedia, Wikipedia, removing the ability to alter Yusuke's Wikipedia page. Look at that. I remember when this first came out, there was like a war going on with people. His information was changing by the minute. People were going in there and editing, and it was hilarious. It's like you're watching history. We're watching them attempt to rewrite history in real time, and it's despicable. It's like, what? How can you guys be doing this crap? It makes no sense. Ex-user Political Awake reported at the end of June, Wikipedia has now removed the ability to alter Yusuke's Wikipedia page. None of the sources they used to justify their false claim that Yusuke was a samurai are Japanese. They are all Western. Leftists are the masters of historical revisionism. Is that for real? So he's now, according to Wikipedia, he was a samurai? That's amazing to me. That's absolutely amazing. That's sad. Furthermore, Jon Favreau made it abundantly clear that Hollywood and video game companies like Ubisoft do use their entertainment vehicles to pass down values to the next generation. Yeah, no kidding. There's a lot of indoctrination in there, man. If you're a kid and you're watching this stuff, it's real to you, right? An adult, a critical thinking adult who knows how the world works, who knows what liars people are and how despicable people with agendas can be, knows not to fall for this crap. But little kids, no, they fall for it, hook, line, and sinker. Favreau explained during an appearance at Vanity Fair's New Establishment Summit that there are life lessons that are in these stories that carry on the tradition. And speaking to George Lucas, he felt that the Western was the genre that helped teach a generation of people coming of age about the value systems that are espoused by that genre, and that Star Wars, part of that responsibility is remembering that part of your audience is a whole generation that's coming of age, and through stories we express our values to the next generation. And so one of those things he said was not to lose sight that this is the main audience for stories. It's clear that Assassin's Creed Shadows is not just a game, it's not just fantasy, it's a tool in the culture war to rewrite history. What do you think of Okamoto there? I mean, I think, he's entitled to his opinion, and just like anyone else, anyone who goes into my comment section and all that, yeah, you're entitled to your opinion, bro, but you're being really short-sighted if that's how you're looking at things. You're not looking at the big picture. You're just focusing in on one thing. Yeah, if that gameplay is cool. It'd be great to see it in a game with some great engaging characters and not these diversity checkmark characters, That's terrible. Who wants to see that? No one wants to see that crap. It's just awful. So, I think he's wrong. I think the whole thing's a mess, and it's a mess. I hope this game fails hard. Being in an Assassin's Creed game, it is going to have a built-in audience. It is going to make some money right off the bat, but I'm hoping that it's really way below expectations, and that it costs Ubisoft a fortune. because people aren't buying it, you know. And they put out all this fancy stuff. I hope it fails. I really do, because I don't like this kind of stuff. You know, I don't like pandering. It's insulting, you know. If I was a black gamer, I think I'd be more insulted than the Japanese one. I'd be like, yo, bro, you know, why did you do this? Why didn't you just make a game set in Africa and give me a Zulu warrior assassin? How freaking badass would that be, you know? It's silly. It's absolutely silly. Leave a like on the video down below, or dislike if you don't like it. You know, I don't care. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and ring that bell for notifications. As always, I'm Cat the Beefy with the Game Vault. I will see you next time. Until then, peace.